Hi, this is Dee. Welcome to CatalystEnergies. Thank you for joining me. I'm so grateful that you're here. We're actually very grateful that you're here. Um, this is it's really getting into the camera right now. So this is your new moon report for Pisces, Sun and Moon conjuncting on February 23rd, 2020. Sorry about that lighting. And I'm not going to be looking at any charts, so feel free to just engage with the audio as I go through what's happening this weekend and what's significant about it, and then some of the major themes moving forward through the month to the full moon in Virgo, which is happening on the 9th of March. But we're really finishing out February, and it feels to me, and what I've experienced personally, is that the full moon really was a big one. It was a big download. It was a big activation. There was a lot of stuff that got pushed out of our system in a very short amount of time, and really pushed people to, limits maybe that they didn't know they had, until they were pushed there. And in other ways, it could be a lot of internalized experiences around that. But whatever it is, a lot of information has come through because it's been kind of the preparation. It's been a preparation for what's coming. There's a lot of healing potential with this new moon. It's the idea that we this Pisces is a lot about unconditional love and compassion and forgiveness. It's also about psychosis, but it's also a lot about cohesion as a whole, as a undefined, undifferentiated whole, just like the ocean. But because we're talking about people's lives, when we're talking about astrology and we're talking about archetypes, because we're talking about humans, animals don't conceptualize their existence the way that humans do. We have all these symbols to make sense of our experiences. There's something to the idea of ritualizing even the most mundane activities in order to keep the social cohesion healthy in a society. And that could society, or that organization could be you as an organism, what's going on within you. It could be a community that you're part of. It could be the larger human context, it could be the morphogenetic field, the ancestral, oh gosh, this dog is like really feeling it too. I've done like, let's see, this is my fourth take because it just wasn't coming through. And it's coming through now, and he's definitely feeling it too. There's a lot of potential for healing, and a lot has been happening, and it's been preparing us. And so tomorrow is the 22nd of February, and that is absolutely one of those portal dates, right? And it's a narrow path. It's the middle path, that is described by in Buddhism, the middle path. It's the pinnacle. It's the top of the pyramid, right? It's here. It's these lines converging into a singularity, into a 0 point, and it's getting more narrow. And that's the path of spiritual awakening, because you are merging these two polarity points into some sort, into a point in which they're, it's completely cohesive because it's one singular point from different directions. And in this case with the pyramid, like on a two-dimensional thing, it's just 2 points coming together. It's getting narrow. And so tomorrow, the 22nd, the sun, the main thing that's going on is we have the void of course moon is still in Aquarius. This is nice, I think, because there is a little bit of detachment and aloofness and a willingness not to like feed into our emotions, but just see things from a much higher perspective in terms of what's best for everybody. Now, this doesn't always, but from an Aquarian position, it's less enabling and more just like almost cold and detached, but for a reason that's not invested in everybody being taken care of. It's more of not personally being invested necessarily. Aquarius and in the moon, I think, is really helping right now, just giving us an opportunity to detach from some of these really heavy issues that are coming up. the moon does go into Pisces at the end of the day. And that's when things are going to really shift, because we're going to go from like this high understanding up here, and like a very clear knowing, and being able to conceptualize things outside of the norm. And then we're going to go into the space of what it actually feels like to be part of a cohesive collective, or be part of something where all of the separate constituent parts are exactly the same as the whole. And there's no differentiating them. And so that's going to be more of a feeling experience as opposed to a thinking experience, which is what the moon is. But I think it's been very helpful, especially with the Mars and Uranus, and especially the Mars and Uranus and Chiron stuff that happened today. I mean, it's just been in our face, really. So the sun is going to sextile, that's a 60-degree angle with Uranus, on the 22nd, and this is kind of like the portal. I wouldn't say it's opening, but it's like the rainbow. It's like the rainbow coming, becoming visible for those few moments when the sun is hitting, the atmosphere just right, and there's just the right amount of like moisture in the air at the right temperature. All the things for the prism to happen to show us where the path is. That is definitely tomorrow, and if we are able to see that and see that getting on that path is like for the highest, not just us, but for everybody else, it's all the same. I think that we're going to come into the full moon on Sunday really ready to engage with this, making everything about our lives like sacred and holy, even when they are seemingly mundane and not very exciting or even difficult. But in this case, it's early Pisces. It hasn't gotten real challenging yet. So when we get to Sunday, that's tomorrow, Saturday, the 2/2, February 22nd, 2020. This is going to be, and the moon is void of course all day. I mean, there's not really much to be done. It's more of just like seeing, keeping your eyes open, being ready to see the window where that path is illuminated, because it is narrow, absolutely. And it's the idea that it's necessary. It's part of the human civilization growth, because the symbol of 4 degrees of Pisces, the Sabian symbol, is this narrow isthmus connecting two seashore resorts. And so if you ever been to any place like that, the traffic is terrible, and that's it. There's a lot of confusion that can really happen, and there can be a lot of traffic jams. There can be a lot of congestion when it comes to things flowing. But it's there, and it's happening. And the congestion is just because it's really busy and everybody wants to be there. And I think that we're gonna see the rainbow come out, and we're gonna know that this is the path that needs to be taken. But it is a narrow path, and it's gonna get clogged. And that's what it feels like to me, is that it's gonna be clogged, and it's narrow, and it's only gonna be, you're not going to see it for very long. There's going to be a limited window, and you have to step into it. Because once Sunday comes around, not only is the new moon happening, I'm trying to keep that. Not only is the new moon happening, there's, the moon is then going to come across and sextile Uranus, just like the sun did. So the sun showed us where it is, and then the moon, we're going to feel it. It's going to be something we intuitively know, and we got some sort of, message or some sort of illumination about it, and then we're going to feel it and intuitively know. And then right after that is when there's the new moon. Like everything that we do is holy and sacred, and that's how you keep it together. That's how you keep yourself together. That's how a community stays together, is when you ritualize and sanctify everything that you do as part of a divine order, a divine plan. And then the moon, she's going to sextile Mars and Capricorn. And this is a piece that is really important when we think about the solar eclipse that happened on Christmas, because Mars is now in the same degree that the sun was on the eclipse. So whatever came up for the eclipse, whatever was not quite illuminated because the moon blocked it out of the way, Mars is just warpath. That is the Sabian symbol for this degree. People on the warpath. So there is movement, there is an agenda, there is all of this energy to like battle, and now Mars is there. Mars is leading the pack. It's not the sun blocking out, or excuse me, the moon blocking out the sun. We see it in its full form now, and it's moving forward. And so the moon is in a harmonious, but it's like potential energy. It needs to be activated, and yeah, Mars is definitely going to activate it, I think, in terms of how we feel about wherever Pisces is in our chart too. That's the other thing, is like it's important to understand your own natal chart so you can know how these things are impacting what area of your personal life. Venus is going to square Jupiter, and this is, oh man, this is, both of these things are just going to need to be felt at the same time, and they're going to be in different areas of our lives. And there's something about being able to vacillate between being active about solutions and then being still. And there's an important, we have to have that balance, and that's where Venus is now, and she's showing us like the benefit of that in a very real and material way within our relationships and our resources and our material goods, and you know, our homes, what makes us feel comfortable and safe. So she comes around and squaring Jupiter, and Jupiter is like, it's time to step up. It's time to, this is now accelerated growth, you know, so the expansion happens even more because it's time to like step up into a responsible role you might not be ready for. That's like a big part of it. And so Jupiter feels pretty confident usually. And so, but also there's a certain amount of responsibility that goes along with stepping up that Jupiter doesn't necessarily want to commit to. But I think in this case, he's definitely going to at least try. And I think that's worth experiencing. It's Aries and Capricorn are naturally square to each other because Aries is about potency and creative potential, and it's very much focused on the inner experience of the ego and like what can be done creatively. And Capricorn is very much about creating something solid that is practical and is for everybody. It's about the larger community. It's about the nature herself, as opposed to the seed, which is Aries. I feel like both of these things are going to just need to be felt, and the square is just going to need to be felt. Like there'll be things to learn from it, but you have this opportunity to just be on the magic carpet and like see all the possibilities and be kind of above it, you know? And at the same time, you have this leadership potential to really step up. And I think that they're naturally squaring each other because, well, Venus wants to feel good by kind of like riding the magic carpet above all of the shit, basically. And Jupiter's like, nah, it's, you know, it's time, it's time to step up. So it makes sense. And so we're going to really want to be on that magic carpet depending. And I think that it's okay to be in both places. I think that's kind of the key, is being able to feel both of these experiences and feel why they're tense and learn from that, as opposed to like kind of getting sucked into the tension of, you know, either I have to step up or I have to like fly above everything on this carpet to feel good. And I don't think I think they're not mutually exclusive. Let's put it that way. The moon comes around and trines the nodes, her own nodes, moon in Pisces. I mean, that's really supporting not only how we're feeling cohesion, but also this collective drive to establish boundaries, provide safety and security emotionally. These are really good. They're good friends right now, the moon in Pisces and the North Node in Cancer, especially after all of this really kind of intense energy. And then the moon comes around and lines up and meets up with Mercury, who's retrograde in Pisces. And, you know, we're really getting an opportunity to go back over some stuff. This Mercury retrograde, I am really thankful for. I think that is just I just really appreciate astrology so much, and I appreciate like just how useful and helpful, and how it's really hard not to see like some sort of like so many patterns. And I just think we really need a Mercury retrograde right now. We need to slow our roll mentally and really go back over some things and be very clear with ourselves about what it means to be initiated onto a spiritual path, in our minds, and that can mean all kinds of stuff. But I think it's important, and I'm really excited. And the moon is gonna meet up with Mercury, and like we're really gonna feel what that is in that moment. And there's just so much, like I said, potential for healing with this new moon. This is a great cycle. And then the full moon in Virgo on the same day that Mercury, its ruler, goes direct. I mean, talk about putting some shit into action. Not even action, but just getting organized. Oh my God. And Mercury's moving forward. So not only organized, but is in Aquarius, last degrees of Aquarius moving forward. Like, again, so all this air, like, and then Virgo, it's like we're really going to want to get organized. We're going to like let go of all of the clutter. We want to get straight with ourselves. It's going to be good, because after that it's going to, we're leading up to the equinox, and we're looking at the real new year starting. And I think that's really when things are going to start coming forward. The week, but let's back up just a little bit, and we'll go just the week leading to the first quarter moon. So we have the new moon on Sunday. So Monday, the sun comes around, sextiles Mars. So Pisces sun sextile, that's it's harmonious, but it's harmonious and balanced, but it's not a triangle. It doesn't have this base of total stability. It needs its potential energy. It needs to be activated. It needs to be catalyzed somehow. The sun, and we have a moon in Aries. And so this is where it's going to get interesting. Is like the moon moves into Aries after like this really beautiful like healing moment, and like an activation of like an awareness of where the path and how it fits into like the collective awakening. And the fact that we get an opportunity to like lean into some discomfort about Venus and Jupiter, like these two benefic planets. And then the moon will move into Aries, and it's going to get really like, we're going to start to really feel some some fiery emotions next week after all of this happens, because we're going to have to do something with the beginning of this cycle now, because the new moon is where we are able to be still enough in order to get a deeper message about this. And so then it'll be time to plant the seed and start growing. It's always a tenuous process for a seed at the beginning. There's no guarantee of anything, especially with the moon in Aries. Aries is all about potential. That doesn't mean that things will happen. It just means that there's potential. So there could be too a lot of flaring tempers and some fear around things not working. But we have the sun and Mars and Mercury all kind of like revolving around each other in very balanced or harmonious things next week. The moon is in Aries. Mercury, like I said, Mercury, Mars, and the sun are all having like really positive meetups and supporting each other. Pisces and Capricorn, and the nodes, the North Node and the South Node. So that's going to get interesting, because Mars is going to conjunct the South Node, and we're going to be really wanting to hold tight. And with the moon in Aries, that's Tuesday, it looks like, and Mercury lines up with the sun. So very confusing and very illusory. I think that, yeah, it's gonna get even a little bit more confusing, I think, then, especially with the moon in Aries. There's no guarantee of anything, and there's going to be a lot of flaring. But if we came to this new moon with an intention of healing and to imbue everything we do with divinity and a sacredness, we will do just fine through this week. I mean, it won't be not weird. It'll be weird, I'm sure. But it's going to be a lot about our minds and our ambition, and also our, the sun in Pisces, the cycle ending, the yearly cycle ending. Let's see. And then the moon moves into Taurus. The sun is going to square Pluto. This is, Pluto and Saturn and all, like, they haven't come up really at all in about a week in terms of major aspects. So Venus is going to square Pluto and Capricorn, and then we're going to have Mercury sextile Uranus. And so Uranus comes back again with Mercury, and there's a moon in Taurus by next weekend, which is going to be really nice to end February. We're going to feel some real comfort. And then it's going to be right after that, the moon moves into Gemini. We have our first quarter square with the sun and the moon, moon in Gemini and the sun in Pisces. There's going to be a lot of ideas that we really want to entertain now that we've planted a new seed internally, right? Moon in Aries, moon in Taurus, really getting comfortable in that soil, really pulling in our resources. By the time we get to the moon in Gemini, I can see where the crisis is going to come, because we're going to want something different, or at least entertain some new ideas about something. And the sun in Pisces is going to be like, nah, man, we're all here together. It's all good. And it's like, well, yeah, that's true, but why do I have all these thoughts? And this is why Mercury retrograde is so important right now. It can be confusing, but if you're doing your work to stay aware and open and discerning, there's gonna be so much to learn. So I think I'm gonna end it there. This dog is just snoring away in my lap, and I feel very honored to be able to offer this to whoever finds their way here. And this is truly my soul work, so I always appreciate being able to share it, because otherwise I'd just be talking to myself, which was fine. But the fact that it actually seems to be improving the quality of life for people and giving them some sort of guidance for themselves is truly something I feel very blessed about and very grateful. So I'll be updating my blog. You can get access to that. I link to it every day on Facebook when I upload, and it's a daily astrology report, just about the specifics and expanding on some of these themes that I lay out in these weekly reports, and all the other information you need about me and CatalystEnergies and how to reach out and to book any kind of service. It's all in the description box below. Thank you for watching. Commenting, subscribing, liking, all of that stuff, just makes the algorithm shift just enough to have these videos pop up on somebody's feed that really is interested in astrology and the evolution of humanity from a spiritual perspective. So thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate every single one of you. And if you need anything, the description box below has all of my information, and I'm going to give you, there's the pug. I don't want to say his name because I'm trying to respect his privacy, but just know that he's a happy camper. All right, everybody. I hope you have a really good full or new moon. I'm way ahead of myself, and I'll see you on the flip side. Later.